All right, in this next video, we're going to be talking about sales tax and taxes a little bit. And if you watched the last short little video on formative, you saw that taxes are something that people in our country and countries around the world pay for so that their government and different things that the government runs has money to operate. So things like public schools, things like paying the president's salary, things like fixing our roads and making sure our roads are plowed in the winter. All of the money that it takes to do that comes from taxes. Now, there's lots and lots of different kinds of taxes in the world. There's taxes on our income, which means if I have a job and I make money, part of my paycheck every week or every month goes to my income taxes, which means it goes to the government. There's taxes on your house. So if you own property, there's taxes. But a very, very common type of tax is called sales tax. And sales tax is a percentage of tax that you will pay whenever you buy something. That's why it's called sales tax. So it's not a tax you have to pay unless you want to go to the store and buy things, which we always do. If I need a new shirt, if I want a new video game or a new TV, not only do I have to pay the price of that object, but whatever my final bill is, I have to pay sales tax on top of it. Now, sales tax is set by state. So you can see I have this picture here of the sales tax, the current rates here in the United States. So you can see that if I were to buy that brand new basketball here in Minnesota, I would pay a tax of 6.875%. So the government in Minnesota decides this. If I were to buy that same basketball, let's say in California, I would pay a tax of 8.25%. So I would actually pay more for that basketball in California than I would in Minnesota. If I bought it in Texas, I would pay 6.25% in tax. If I bought it in Oregon, I don't have to pay any sales tax. There are a few states that have decided they don't want sales tax. So you can kind of take a peek at what different states are around the country. So it's kind of interesting how each different state can set their own. All right, so we're going to come back to this in a moment. But there is a formula that we can use, and that when you go and you buy whatever at the register, this is the formula the computer uses to tell you your final price. And that formula is they take the original price and they add on, and you can see here in parentheses, they add on the original price times whatever the tax percent is. So they're trying to figure out, well, what is, for example, in South Dakota, what is 4% of the bill? And then you add that onto the original price to get our final price. Okay, so let's say we were going to buy a basketball, and we were going to buy this basketball in Minnesota. All right, so if I'm working this problem out, my original price on the basketball, let's say, is $18. Okay, $18 is what it says on the price tag, $18. So I bring that up to the counter, and I know I'm going to pay tax. So to figure out what I'm actually going to pay for this basketball, I would take that $18, and then I'm going to add it to, and this is where my algebra comes in, $18, that's my original price, times what the tax is, and it's a percent, so we're going to use that decimal. So if I go to Minnesota, I see my tax percent is 6.875, so I would make that 0.0 because it's not 60%, it's 6, so I have to put that 0 there as a placeholder, 0.06875. Minnesota's kind of a pain because we got this weird long percent. Then I will figure out what my final price is. So let's figure out what this is. If I go to my calculator, 18 times 0.06, once again, 6875, tells me that I'm going to pay an extra 1 point, and it usually rounds to the nearest cent. So you can see I'm going to have to pay an extra $1, and if I go here, we know that with money, cents comes 2 spots over. that 7 would round it up. So I would have to pay an extra $1.24. So my final price would be that $18 originally, plus the tax, which ends up being $1.24. And that would get me, all right, if I take 18 plus $1.24. I know you probably knew that in your head. So my final price that I would pay at the register is $19.24. And what happens then is this original $18 would go to, say I bought it at Target, would go to Target. And then this $1.24 would go to the government. So Target doesn't get to keep the tax. That extra bit goes to our government, like I said, to pay for roads, to pay for schools and things like that. Okay, I'm going to erase a bunch of this. Let's do one more just so we really kind of understand it. And it's kind of a pain, but I'm going to go all the way back. All right. So now let's say that we're on vacation. Let's say that we're going to go on vacation to, let's go to good old Hawaii down here. You can see that the sales tax in Hawaii is 4%. So let's say we go to Hawaii and we want to buy an awesome new hula skirt, right? I really want to bring it back as a cool souvenir. And so I go, and the hula skirts are $23 a piece. Okay. So I set up my formula, my original price. I'm going to add then the original price, 23, times the tax percentage, which was 4% down here. So as a decimal, that would be 0.04. Don't make that mistake if it's a percentage less than 10 of forgetting to add that place value holder. Otherwise, it would be 40% and you'd be paying a lot more for that hula skirt. That's going to get me my final price. So if I take 23 times 0.04, let me clear this out. 23 times 0.04. That means I'm going to be paying 92 cents in tax. So my final formula would be 23 plus this equaled 93 cents. Meaning when I went to the register in Hawaii to pay for that, I would pay $23.93 after tax. This portion would go to the company. This portion, that 93 cents, would go to the government. So that is what happens with tax, and that's what you're going to be working with for the remainder of this lesson. All right, good luck.